The Florida Panthers explode in the second period to sweep this season series against the Pittsburgh Penguins, get some depth scoring, and Matthew Tkachuk continues his hot streak.
You're Locked On Panthers, your daily podcast on the Florida Panthers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into this Thursday, February 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. I'm Armando Velez from the Hockey News. You can follow me on X at MondoMan12, follow show account on X and Instagram at LO_FLA Panthers. And shout out to everydayers who come back here and get your daily Florida Panthers fix. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON to get $20 off your first purchase. So the Florida Panthers go into PPG Paints Arena, their first road game since January 27th, right before the All-Star break. So picking up right where they left off on the road and now getting their 9th straight road victory. And just incredible how the Panthers have continued this streak. Their last loss coming on December 18th against the Calgary Flames. But we do have a special guest on today's show. He has been on the show before, but today we are bringing in. He is from the Hockey Writers. Very similar name to the Hockey News, just one different word here. So he is from the Hockey Writers, Panthers writer Joey Ganzi. Joey, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Thanks. Very, very happy to be back, man.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on in the first place, my friend. I want to discuss more about the biggest takeaways from this game for the Florida Panthers. And really, for me, the biggest takeaways for me was how the Panthers were able to control the gaps against the Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I know that the Cats, they were mostly in their zone. I know the shots said 4-3 after one. The Penguins were in the Panthers zone for a lot of it, but the Panthers, as far as disrupting zone entries and getting blocks, shots blocked in front of their own net, really is what set the tone for me, and especially those two power plays where the first one, the Panthers equaled the amount of shots against the Penguins and all, getting a shorthanded chance themselves. But then really, when it came to that second period, and as far as the explosion for the Panthers, I mean, the Panthers, as far as countering as well in transition, the battles that they've won on two of those goals in the second period as well, especially the one that Montour shot for Gadjovich. That was the battle that was won as well. And really, the Panthers continuing to just not give the opposition quality chances in front. I know by the time the third period got going, I mean, it was too late for the Penguins as far as the score, as far as that dominating the possession. But still, the Florida Panthers did not go away from their style of game. And Lundell gets 2 goals on the night. Matthew Tkachuk gets 3 assists, continue his amazing run. And they didn't have to rely on Barkov scoring, Reinhart, Carter Verhaeghe. So they got the depth scoring necessary in this one. And that is great to see when still we are trying to figure out what the Panthers need as far as depth scoring. They got it on the night. Your biggest takeaways on the night for the Panthers?
Just to touch on Matthew Tkachuk, a little disappointing to get the Gordie Howe, but that's a different story for a different day. I think Pittsburgh just constantly still had their last game on their mind the entire night, because you could see them getting frustrated throughout the first, second, and third period. They were taking like bad penalties all throughout the night, with specifically even the cross check on Tkachuk on that breakaway.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just the entire night. It just felt like they were living in their head rent free. Like it you could see it affect their entire style. You could see it affected their entire gameplay. It felt like they had they even after they scored that one goal, it just after they made it 5-1, they just kind of seemed like it fell flat. It just, I don't get me wrong, Florida played a fantastic game. That's probably one of the most complete games I've seen them play all season. They locked it down defensively. They scored on the chances they got, and they made their power play work the best of their ways, even without relying on like you said before, the top scoring from Barkov or Reinhart or Verhaeghe. They made it work, and that's what good teams do. They find ways to win.
Yeah, and you're talk about getting in the opposition's head. I mean, Colin White sends Nick Cousins over the board, and then Ekblad is right there to defend him as well. There's a 4-on-4 to start the second period as well. Mikkola delivers a really hard hit on Jake Gensel on the night as well. Which and let's also not forget that there could have been an opportunity for momentum to shift in this game as well. But the Pittsburgh Penguins did have a goal that was disallowed due to a high stick by Lars Eller. That could have been 1-0 at the time, and then a few minutes later, the Florida Panthers get the go up 1-0 as well. And I'm gonna save something for segment number 2 as far as the moment where I thought this game was won or lost. But also, the Florida Panthers is even though it's really close play as far as Russ grabbing the stick of Bobrovsky on the Gensel goal as well. But to expect 2 challenges won in this economy for the Florida Panthers, not expecting that as well. But just when it comes to how quick the Florida Panthers can just make you pay with their puck battles, I mean, think about the goals, the 3 goals that they scored. Those are 3 goals on 6 shots. The first 2 goals are 34 seconds apart as well. It's like the Panthers crushed the opposition's hopes and dreams as far as the Pittsburgh Penguins, and keeping the top guns in check as well. Just looking at Sidney Crosby's individual numbers as well as when he was on the ice as well. Minus a Corsi 4 percentage as well for him for Sidney Crosby on the night. Just really tough night for the Panthers. And also I want to give a lot of credit to Gus Forsling, Aaron Ekblad. That pair continues to just play so well. Gap control was incredible. Winning the puck battles too. And I mean, listen, Bobrovsky saw nothing. I shared the screenshot from Natural Stat Trick. There's everything in the middle was protected, and that's just continuing for the Florida Panthers to just embracing their style of play. And even Matthew Tkachuk post game, he was saying how that's the tone that they want to start with. They want to be physical and giving them 0 ice to play with.
They also, like we talked about before, that they want to get in their heads. They want to make it feel like we're not going to let you do anything at all. And that stat backs up how good their defense is. I believe I don't know if the stats changed overnight, but they were second in the league in overall goals against with 2.5 GAA. They have just found ways to win defensively, and it's starting to frustrate the opposition. And we saw that all night going on. And even the defense is jumping up in the scoring. That's not fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be it would take maybe 3 or 4 straight shutouts for the Panthers to pass the Winnipeg Jets as far as goals against per game. So that's how great the Winnipeg Jets have been playing, even though they've had a little bit of a slump lately after going 25 plus games with giving up 3 goals or less. Just an incredible run that the Jets did go on before that was broken by the Boston Bruins as well. And also, speaking of the Jets scoring, Gadjovich gets his second on the of the year on that one. And also just when it comes to just continuing how this team is just so bought in, and just how when it comes to the depth scoring too, the power play goal that the Panthers scored, that came from their second unit too. You're not overly reliant on the first unit too, as far as that when Aaron Ekblad scored as well. So that's also the thing that makes you feel good on the night, especially when you have to play a game tomorrow night as well. So that's also another point that I want to bring home as well, with getting the scoring on power play too. Lundell getting to, especially after the puck goes probably a mile in the air, and then
That's just
into
unfortunate.
Yeah, that's just the Penguins season in a nutshell. I mean, just bad luck. I mean, Eetu Luostarinen, he was on the forecheck on Crosby that caused that turnover right before Lundell shot the puck as well. So a lot of credit goes to Eetu Luostarinen on that one, creating the opportunity as well, and credit to Nick Cousins on that breakup that created the rush opportunity where all eyes were on Tkachuk, and then just getting it to Lundell out in front. But we're going to transition over to segment number 2, where we're going to discuss more about our 3 stars and when we thought this game was won or lost. We're going to discuss that and more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Camino Consulting. And how would you like to get to know someone better in an hour than you would in a year? Understanding one another better prevents small misunderstandings from becoming big, ongoing fights. After providing more than 20 years of service to small and mid-sized businesses, helping management groups navigate conflict on onboarding new employees, Camino is offering a digital seminar for families and couples. Did your Valentine's Day gift of tickets to the game not go over as well as you hope? Get the couples and family online seminar for 25% off for the month of February by using the discount code Locked On. Again, that is discount code Locked On for 25% off for the rest of the month at www.caminoconsulting.ca, or mention Locked On when reaching out for a business seminar and receive the first 5 profiles for free. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. Back on this Thursday, February 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Thursday, here with Joey Ganzi of the Hockey Writers. And Joey, I want to discuss more about when we thought this game was won or lost for the Panthers. And at first I was thinking, when the Panthers killed off the first PK for the Penguins, you matched shot for shot with them 1-1 there. But my moment for me, I wanted to choose a different one. I felt that was too simple for that. And it's the first goal of the game at 4:28 of the second period. Bobrovsky makes a big stop on Sidney Crosby as the PK ended, and they go straight on the counter where Tkachuk gets it to Evan Rodriguez on the give and go, return feed, and then scores. And that was the first of Matthew Tkachuk's 3 points on the night, which now Matthew Tkachuk has 37 points since December 23rd. Just incredible, the run that he's on. That was my moment as far as when I thought this game was won. And at the time, it was only 1-0 for the Panthers as far as getting the lead, and the Panthers never looked back from there. That was my moment, because even on the defensive end, the Penguins were starting to get the shots off, but it was hitting their own players and not even getting to the net for Sergei Bobrovsky. So you felt confident that special teams, which season series 14 of 15 for the Panthers in the season series against the Pittsburgh Penguins, 37 of 39 in the 9-game road winning streak too. Something to think about. So that was my moment when the first goal happened on the counter for the Panthers. What was your moment?
Well, I'm completely in agreement with that. It just felt like after that first goal, they just locked everything down. But for me, it had to be what ended up being the game winner in Aaron Ekblad's goal.
Mm-hmm.
The reason for that is because, let's think about this. They were actually getting the penalty kill going over on the other end. Imagine if they killed that off. They all say a 2-0 lead is the worst lead you can have in hockey.
Fair enough.
If that penalty gets killed off, they could have flipped the script and changed momentum completely. Ekblad took the puck in his own hands and said, you know what? I'm going to bury this. And that's what he did. I think he ripped it like top cheese, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Because that goal was disgusting. I mean, the toe drag and just ripped it top corn. Beautiful.
And once again, it goes back to the Panthers winning their battles. And then when the puck actually gets to Aaron Ekblad back in the point, you see a shooting lane that's open, and you see him take a few steps too to get a better percentage shot. And before the shooting lane could even close, firing it as he was toe dragging it towards that right wing circle as well. So that's another thing that comes with that, and not waiting too late until that shooting lane closes as well. So that's a great point that you brought up as far as, and that was the goal to make it 3-0 at the time. And that was right before the power play ended. That was the one where Ryan Lomberg was taken down right on the faceoff by Marcus Pettersson as well. So that was the power play goal from that penalty. 3 stars of the game. We don't really give this guy a lot of number 1 stars, so I'm gonna give for today because he gets the 2 goals. I know it wasn't the GWG, but we don't. But I want to give it to Anthon Lundell on the night as well. I know there has been some shakeups as far as the forward lines. Now he's playing with Evan Rodriguez, so Evan Rodriguez 2 points on the night. So good for him. And as far as that, so there's a confidence level in that line right now for the Panthers with him and Erod there. Second star is Matthew Tkachuk, the 3 points on the night. Once again, 37 points since December 23rd for Chucky, and Erod will be my 3rd star on the night for the Florida Panthers here. And honorable mention, obviously not busy early on in this one, but did not allow this game to get any closer to even 2 goals once it was 5-2, which congratulations, by the way, to former Panthers prospect John Ludwig on his first career NHL goal. Who are your 3 stars on the night for the Panthers?
I'm going to start from 3 to 1. I'm going to give my 3rd star to Aaron Ekblad. Like I just discussed before, He ended up scoring the goal that ended up being the game winner. And if that goal was never scored, I truly believe the Penguins are going to try to flip the script and try to change momentum. Because that's just, you have a lot of those veterans back there that have been through adversity left, right, and sideways. They could have turned around. Ekblad, took the puck in his own hands and said no. On top of that, he finished with a +1 that night and just completely locked it down defensively with Gustav Forsling. And like I said, ultimately game-winning goal. For my 2nd star, I'm going to give it to Anthon Lundell. He had 2 goals on the night and some of the biggest ones that end up shutting down the rest of the game. And this is really, really good for him because he was struggling a lot earlier in the year, and I think he's finally starting to find his groove. And with the center depth Florida has, the rest of the NHL is in trouble if he's going. It's going to be a problem. But he had, arguably, like I said, a fantastic night. 2 goals on 2 shots, I might add, and a +2 on the night. He was fantastic. And number 1, I'm a little bit biased because he is my favorite player, but I got to give it to Matthew Tkachuk because not only did he score a big goal and assist on the other 2, he set the tone for the entire game. He got in players' heads. He set the physical tone. He pretty much went out and said, I'm not going to let you bully me around. This is what we're going to do tonight. And because of that, they won that game 5-2. But he was a huge, huge piece in setting up a lot of the big goals for Lundell and establishing everything that gave them the 5-2 win.
Yeah, it's really hard to argue. I don't think there's any wrong answers here when it comes to the 3 you having Tkachuk at number 1 or me having Lundell as the 1st star of the game as well for the Panthers here in this one, and just continuing to provide and to show their identity night in and night out when it comes to their just hard in your face type of game. And just looking at Reinhart, 2 shots on goal, Barkov 1, and this is on a night where you're not getting you're getting the depth scoring there. And obviously we don't recommend this every single night for the Panthers, but when those other guys can get going, you're pretty content. And also, right before I did write down this quote from Ryan Whitney from the alternate cast as well, and also he said that every part of the Panthers' game is strong, and that he doesn't know if they have to make a trade at the trade deadline. So interesting to see when a national media person talks about that with the Panthers, and just talking about the very little weaknesses for this team. Every team has weaknesses. We know that it's depth scoring as well. So, and for the Panthers, I mean, we spoke about this yesterday. They had the 3 goals in the first 2 matchups, but one of them was an empty net. An empty netter. The other one was a shootout winner. So I was very hesitant on thinking about the over on this one. This was a rarity in this season series for the Panthers as far as taking the over here as well. But something that we spoke about pre-recording, Joey, 18 road wins now, where they had 19 all of last year. Just I can't believe that we're talking about this after think about Valentine's Day last year. Would you think that there would be 18 road wins at February 14th?
If we're judging by the team from last season, absolutely not. This team they understand what the goal is. They still have that bitter taste in their mouth from this summer, and it's driving everything they've been doing all season. There's a reason they're second in the Atlantic. There's a reason I think they're third now in the NHL now?
I'll check that while you're talking, but go continue.
Yeah, it's the reason why they've driven so hard, why they've gotten their game going. They have a goal in mind, and they want to actually get it done this season. They want to try to bring the first Stanley Cup to South Florida ever. And everything you saw on the ice tonight, like I said, probably one of the most complete games of all season, is the reason for that.
They are tied for third in points with the Dallas Stars after tonight's game, and 2 behind the Boston Bruins after they lost in a shootout last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning, which now the Panthers and the Bruins will be playing both at 7:00 tomorrow. Panthers at Sabres and Bruins at home against the Seattle Kraken. But let's turn the page actually now to segment number 3, where we are going to preview Thursday night's game between the Florida Panthers and the Buffalo Sabres. We're going to discuss that and more here on the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. And you shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is a fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Game Time has deals right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets. Find exclusive deals for tickets like football, basketball, hockey, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seat for big time savings. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Third and final segment here on this Thursday, February 15th edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day here on a Thursday, here with Joey Ganzi of the Hockey Writers. And Joey, like we said in the previous segment, now 18 road wins for the Panthers after getting 19 all season last year. Still lead the league in road wins, still lead the league in regulation wins. The Eastern Conference, in regulation wins. As far as that, as far as tops of the league, only 6 points behind the Vancouver Canucks with a game in hand. So not that I'm fully focused on a President's Trophy. I'm just more focused on seeing what this team is creating as far as building towards the playoffs, even if they don't end up winning the division. But 2 points behind the Bruins, so it's on, baby. But Panthers at Sabres tonight from KeyBank Center in Buffalo. Doesn't look like that Owen Power will be playing for the Buffalo Sabres. He did miss their last game on a game where they absolutely manhandled the Los Angeles Kings. Ajay Kopitar was a -6 on the night as well. And also, here was one thing as far as what was discussed on Sports Talk Radio today, Joey, that Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen had his 4th shutout on Tuesday, but Don Granato decides to direct the question and talking about Devin Levi as well. So that was a little strange as far as not focusing on the goaltender who is starting to create, and starting to get his game established there. But also for the Sabres, the 4 goals a game that they had last season, that is not a part of their game this year. It's still a lot of personnel that came back as well. I know Tage Thompson has missed a whole bunch of games. Casey Middlestat is their leading goal scorer right now. Rasmus Dahlin is second in points, as far as, and he's a defenseman as well. So still lots of questions as far as blue lines still for the Buffalo Sabres. We knew that coming into the year. We knew that there was a little bit of a question mark in goal as far as, can you have Devin Levi, who's right now in Rochester, but the start of the season was really what was the biggest question mark on having a guy who's just fresh off his ELC in the mix, and that's kind of thrown their season off as well. How are you viewing this matchup for the Panthers against the Sabres?
I view this as an important matchup. It's very, very hard to go into another building, especially on the second end of a back-to-back. But just because, they're trying to deflect, despite the fact that Ukko, try saying that 3 times fast. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. I'm so sorry if I
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Like I said, I'm so sorry, guys. It's a hard name to pronounce.
Hockey names.
Yeah, right. Even though he had 4 shots, I still don't understand why the coach was trying to direct towards Devin Levi. I understand they see him as a starter for the future, but you need to ride the hot hand. In this league, you have to ride the hot hand. Something tells me there's some sort of internal conflict going on with that if the coach is saying something like that, and something is just amiss. But regardless, that doesn't mean you take this opponent lightly. You cannot take a single opponent lightly in the NHL. You just can't. But yeah, I'm also – go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Continue.
I was going to say, I know we talked about Rasmus Dahlin. We've talked about Casey Middlestat. And we've talked about Tage Thompson. But I want to point out something for JJ Peterka.
Peterka.
What's up?
Peterka.
I'm so sorry, guys. Buffalo Sabres fans are going to hate me in the comments. But JJ Peterka, over his last 5 games, he has 5 goals and an assist. He's been on an absolute tear recently, and I think he's going to be stepping up in the absence of maybe potentially Owen Power, but I think he's going to try to jumpstart the scoring as much as he can. So look out for him to try to have a big game because like I said, he's been on a tear. But again, don't take this opponent lightly. Try to go in with the same mindset. We understand Sam Reinhart and Alexander Barkov had bad nights, but they can't have them back-to-back again. There's nothing wrong with relying on depth scoring, especially with the way it went tonight, but everyone needs to be firing on all cylinders tomorrow. Or tonight.
Yeah, I mean, Montour and Reinhart, in the games that we've seen them against the Sabres, they get up for that matchup. So that is something to look at. And maybe if we look at the pregame show for Bally Sports Florida, maybe one of them will pick one of those two as far as that. Also, you have Kyle Okposo playing on that top line. He's usually playing on the 4th line. It just also goes to show how much they're trying to create an offensive scoring punch with Kyle Okposo being there. And this franchise has had the reputation over the last few years of maybe bringing guys in a little too early and not leaving them in Rochester to develop as well. So that's another thing as far as that. But still, lots of promise as far as talent wise. But still, just like the Panthers when they were going through their their struggles of finding out their identity after Yager left. That's what the Buffalo Sabres, as far as their life cycle, are currently in. Because I believe I had the Sabres in the playoffs in my preseason preseason predictions as far as that, because I was very sold on their goal scoring, but the blue line was basically the only question. Young goaltending as well, but this is another game where the Panthers, like you said, can't take the opponent lightly. And listen, it's an opportunity to extend crazy to think, the road winning streak to 10. Big opportunity. I'm sure no morning skate tomorrow. We're expecting Stoli to be in net for tonight, excuse me. But the splits for Stolars on the road are incredible for Stolars, under 2 GAA as far as that, and just the road penalty kill and just their ability to close the middle. That is really what you got to love about the Panthers as far as this continuous stretch of play, as they continue to just climb up and create that separation in the Atlantic Division. But Joey, I want to thank you so much once again for joining me on this edition of the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, recapping this 5-2 win for the Florida Panthers over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Tell everybody where they can follow you online, my friend.
Absolutely. You can follow me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Mr__Joester. I post articles every week covering the Panthers. I post premium content that I believe is, I forget how much it costs. It was just terrible for me to say. But I post premium content with the Hockey Writers for a monthly fee. And we also post free newsletters coming out every or twice a month with a bunch of free articles covering what's new around the Florida Panthers and around the rest of the league.
And I tell people this all the time. These days, to get some good journalism, you got to pay a little bit of money. So that is the times that we are in. So, Joey, thank you so much, my friend. And I will see you next time.
Thank you very much for having me.
And if you like what you're hearing, please subscribe to the podcast to be notified every single time the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast jumps into your podcast feed. Don't forget to also subscribe to the other shows on the Locked On NHL Network, including Locked On NHL, Locked On Fantasy Hockey with Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden, and Locked On NHL Prospects. Thank you once again for making the Locked On Florida Panthers podcast your first listen of the day. So I'm Armando Velez with Joey Ganzi, and you've been listening to Locked On Florida Panthers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day.